What is going on, everyone? Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Welcome back to another Carbines and Cantrips book club. Today we are talking about story number 5 and 6 from the Raconteur Press anthology Wyrd Warfare, which is Night Fighters by Joe Salem and 7th Hussar.
Hussar.
Hussar, that's what it is. Aide to the Mage by Stanley Wheeler. I couldn't find Stanley's Twitter. I searched and I couldn't find it. I found some, but I didn't know if which one was him or not. But I got Joe Salem tagged and Raconteur Press tagged, so that's better than nothing.
Cool.
And once again, I am joined down below by the author Jesse James Fain, author/editor. From it. Forgive me if I get this wrong. It came from the trailer park. That's the name of the antho, right?
Yeah, it came from the trailer park, double wide. Deadly Flames, Dragons in Combat, Cogs and Cutlasses. There's, I think, 5 of them out right now. There's 7 that are going to be out there eventually, and there'll be a novel at some point. So
nice, dude. Mallory Childers, howdy y'all. Hey, how's it going, Mallory? Good to see you. Thanks for supporting. Showing up in the chat every week. That's great, dude. I love the support. You got yourself a good one there, dude.
She's good about that.
My wife's good too. She's not in the chat, but she's wrangling 3 kids, so I'll give her a pass.
Yeah, she's giving you the time to be on the camera. So
exactly, dude. Are you by any chance a Witcher fan? Do you read any of the books or play the games or anything?
So I read book 1, and I played Witcher 3. Which I'm gonna say, I'm gonna be the contrarian here. I did not fall in love like so many others did.
I did. I didn't know it was a book series. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the book series wasn't half bad. It kind of skips around. It's almost a collection of short stories at first.
Yeah.
But as far as the game's concerned, I got to a point where every quest I had was over level, and I just did not feel like running around randomly until I managed to level up for them, and that was the end of my witchering.
I get what you're saying. Like my buddy, I had to convince him like so many times to actually like stick with it because he tried it a few times and quit. And even I, like the first time I played it, I quit. I was like, this game sucks. Then I picked it back up again, and I got super hooked on it. But totally understand what you're saying. I don't know. It's if it ends up hooking you, it really hooks you. But if it fails to hook you, then it really comes across as not as fantastic as everyone makes it seem to be. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I got hooked on it, and then I realized it was a book series. Yeah, the first 2 novels are both like a collection of short stories because they jump around a bunch. And then from there, like the 3rd book is book 1, and then it's like book 1 through I want to say 6. I can't remember. And then he came out with a prequel called Season of Storms, which was complete booty. But anyway. I saw all like the drama with Witcher 4, and I was like, oh my gosh, why do they keep doing this? But anyway, I guess that's not what we're here to talk about.
we can in a little bit, but yeah, let's give the people what they're here for, and then we can take our side tangents where we want.
I like that plan. First one up to bat is going to be Night Fighters by Joe Salem. Joe Salem? It's a Joe, right? Pretty sure it's it.
I'll tell you when I get to the front of the ebook, and
my notes. Yeah, Joe Salem. That's his name. So you might need to help me a little bit with the rundown because I'm not super familiar with these like battles and stuff. But basically, there is this pilot. He's in a squadron called Number 191, and they are I forgot what the name of the place that they're operating out of is. They're veterans of the Battle of Dunkirk and the Battle of Britain. And now they are trying to shoot down German bombers that are flying toward London at nighttime. And the problem is that they can't see anything because it's World War II. They got to deal with the people on the ground living in England. They got like blackout curtains so that the Nazis can't see them. So these British guys try to go up and take out the Nazi bombers in the nighttime so that they don't, drop their payload and blow up Britain. But yeah, there is therein lies the issue that neither one of them can see each other, so it's like super hard for them to take out these Germans. And so they start like putting out a call for like gunners or anyone really. I think they like specifically looking for gunners who have good night vision, and that's where eventually I guess the supernatural kind of comes in. I don't know, but for me it felt like kind of a slow burn. Like this was a little bit slower paced story. Like the supernatural didn't really hit till, I don't know, probably like over halfway through, and like at first it just seemed like
till halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree on that one. It definitely took a little bit longer for the supernatural aspect to hit in. I was interested, like I wanted to know what was going to happen, and I was trying to figure out how they were going to bring the supernatural in. As far as the pertinent history is concerned, you nailed it. It's often called the Blitz. It was Battle of Britain. It was a long extended period where the German and British air forces constantly engaged each other. Everybody's bombing everybody. For people who don't know, for those of you playing at home, World War II was a nightmarish amount of bombings. Everybody remembers the big one that America dropped, but there are entire cities that were firebombed into percentage that starts with 90. And this is on both sides. There's parts of Japan that are virtually burned to the ground without a nuclear bomb. Places like Dresden are bombed to absolute oblivion. There's multiple cities on both sides that suffer mass effects and still sometimes find unexploded ordnance to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, we had that issue when I went to like the area of not Hiroshima, Iwo Jima. We got to walk along, go up to Mount Suribachi. Yeah, and they're like, don't touch anything if it looks like a bullet or if it looks like an undetonated piece of ordnance. Just leave it alone because you probably blow up and die. Yeah, I think for me when I first was like suspected like where the supernatural was going to come from and what it was going to be, it was when Mr. Silvio showed up after his house got blown up, and he's like, okay, whose ass do I got to fucking kick, dude? Blew up my car.
Yeah, dude. Whose ass do I got to whip? Yeah.
Yeah, and then like my younger, I can't remember if it was like his nephew or his grandson or whatever. He's like, yeah, he's gonna show up and he'll fight in my stead and get my revenge. And then obviously that guy ends up having super good night vision. And is able to spot these Germans while they're flying at night. Oh yeah, spoiler alert! Dang it.
Yeah, it's okay. I got you covered. Anybody watching? So yeah, we're here. As I say every time, we're here to talk about the stories, people. If you hadn't read them, go read them. Come back.
Yeah, I like it when he first he takes that guy up and he's like, the vampire dude that he doesn't know is a vampire yet. He's just like, this guy's got really good night vision. And only ever hangs out at nighttime. He leaves before the sun comes up, so we can't go get a beer and celebrate. But he's just like, dude, you're crazy. You can't see anything. And he's like, no, just go over here, dude. Trust me. And he like fires off around, and then I think he fires off around, misses, and then that basically gives away their position, like really scary Marco Polo. And then the Germans fire back at him. He's like, oh shit, there were some Germans over there. Yeah, and so they basically wipe out this first German wave. I think they get three planes on their first go around. Yeah, and like this is something I probably should know better because I was in naval aviation, and maybe I did, and I just forgot. I mean, I brain hold so much information from boot camp and all the historical stuff they make us learn because we don't use it all the time. But the Germans basically had like they had the advantage with their 2-engine planes. It sounds like they're probably faster, more agile. I don't know, versus like the Brits and their planes sound cool. They got the big gunner on it and stuff like that. But I guess there's that advantage that the Germans have, which kind of adds like a bit of fear or whatever of like, oh crap, these guys are stronger than us, being outmatched kind of thing.
Yeah, this is most of World War II. I believe the first jet is actually during World War II, but most of this is pre-jet, so this is prop planes.
Yeah.
So they're. I love the gun setup. I don't know how. I'm not that much of a plane guy. I don't know how realistic the gun setup was with the 430 caliber Brownings all like tied one pedal, like 2 pedals, 2 guns per one firing pedal. I thought that was a really cool setup just as a weapons nerd. But yeah, I do know shooting down three bombers in a night was huge.
Yeah.
Because I want to say something like it's like either 6 or 10 makes you an ace. Like that's
Yeah. Has that
you know
changed as like, because I don't know the answer to that, but like, has it, I wonder if it like, it's like how many planes you have to shoot down has either gone up or down as technology has advanced. Like if you're in that old plane with the gunner in the back, or versus like, you know, an F-22 Raptor, like how many, is it the same amount of things? I don't know.
I think it has definitely changed over the years. I am trying to look up what it was during World War II right now, just because that's kind of how I am. Let's see.
I think on that first, I think the first night it was just that one vampire, and then like the next
Hmm.
strafing run, like 3 more showed up, and then one of them, he's
Yeah,
like, oh, that looks like my old gunner who I thought died of tuberculosis. But then he doesn't get a chance to look at him closer, and then nope, turns out, yeah, definitely that was your gunner. They turned him into a vampire.
yeah. That's that was my like big. It was a humorous oh no moment, but Silvio looks at them and says, "Oh, I'll bring my like it was like 4 cousins. I want to say I'll bring my 4 cousins from the Midlands. They all have the same hereditary thing I do that lets them see really well at night." And then it was like, "Oh no, he's bringing more vampires," because nobody in the story knows it's a vampire. But
Yeah.
if you know vampires, you get almost from the first conversation, this man appears into this story. You're like, that dude's a vampire, and if he's not a vampire, he's something really close to a vampire.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
could tell like when the issue was like we can't see at night, I was like, okay, it's got to be like a vampire or something that's like super. I mean, not that pretty much all monsters are very associated with darkness, I guess, but I don't know. Yeah, just the vibe of it, like we need to be able to see. I was like, this has to be a vampire.
World War II was 5 or more.
Yeah.
So by the end of this, what was his name? David.
Yeah, you know, I actually because
Yeah,
I could have
David's earned
sworn
his
I saw
ace.
I could have sworn I saw 2 names for him. Like it said Lieutenant David Marcus, and then later in the story it said Lieutenant David Worley, and I was like, is that a different character or they just as a typo? I don't know if you saw that or not, but
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to it. Um, that's That's a good call, though. I will say to rib Chris. Not really. It happens to everybody in the world. I did catch my very first typo of the entire antho in this story.
in this one,
Yep,
what
in Night Fighters.
which was it?
It was early on. It was like it should have been that, and it was then. It was really
Yeah,
easy.
I think I know.
Like
I was like, I feel like I remember like seeing like there was a word missing or it was like the wrong word. I mean, obviously it's no
yeah,
big deal.
yeah. No, it's no big deal. I can tell you as an editor. Again, everybody at home. I don't care if you had half the world read this bloody antho novel, whatever. One of them's always going to squeak through. It's inevitable. It always happens.
Yeah. Yeah, where was it? Oh, so yeah, so they shoot down the 3 on the first night. Things kind of escalate. Yeah, like you said, like Jesse said, the vampire dude's like, all right, let me go get some more of my homies. I'm gonna get like my 3 cousins or whatever. We'll be back. Apparently, he just goes and turns people into vampires and brings them back. And yeah, they really start fucking up. They just like start messing up the German bombers. And then it gets to the point. There's this one night they go up and like they end up like in the middle of like a German formation. And there's just like
A
German
whole
bombers all around.
formation.
Yeah, dude. I was like, that's like what a trip, like just to be that far back in history where like the technology just isn't there for like instruments, radar, whatever. Like, you can't see. There's no lights on these planes. I mean, I guess there are like because Jesse sees like the red light, and some kind of indicator light on one of the pilot's dashes. But like just so trippy to be like to think about being at night and you're literally blind. Like we don't like I don't ever think like that. I have like street lights and headlights and you can see airplanes flying overhead with all their I don't know, location lights on or whatever. So it's like weird to think about like how blind these guys actually were, flying airplanes like right next to each other with like bombs and machine guns strapped to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's I don't know. There's all kinds of things I look back on, and don't get me wrong, war's always hairy. And like especially we're seeing in Ukraine when you're more near peer, like things get really drones all terrifying. But
Yeah.
I think that there's eras of history that have all had these like uniquely terrifying moments. And I think this is one of them. Flying at night before radar, flying at night before night vision,
Yeah.
like things like that. That's got to be one of them for sure. I mean, not that World War II is not full of horrible things like we saw in the story that was in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Um, but it's wild to think about. It's wild to put yourself there. To think it like you yourself having to deal with a trial like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even like he said that he's like more terrified of doing a night landing than being in a dogfight, and like damn, that's scary, dude. Like I mean, imagine you can't see anything. You're like, okay, here we go. Like more likely to die here landing this thing in the dark than I am from getting in a dogfight with another aircraft. And then like he has to get like really low to try and see like the red lights along the river, I think it was, and he's like, I don't want to hit like a church steeple. It's just like, dude, anything can come out of nowhere and just take you out. Yeah, and I think like waiting to have the monster come in till later. I don't know, dude. Like I feel like just the war itself kind of built all the tension, not because obviously you don't need a monster to make World War II scary. So like yeah, like you said, I was kind of just hooked just from just like the actual like real events that I was reading about. I mean, I'm assuming it's like historically accurate. I guess I don't know, but I'm sure it's close.
Yeah, and I think a really cool feature here. Again, shouting out the author and shouting out Chris and his editing job. Now we have at least as far as I can tell. I mean, the wizard I don't count. Wizards I don't really count. Sorcerers I'm not sure I want to count those as monsters.
Yeah.
But this is the first time in this whole antho that the monster is like the anti-hero or I'm trying to find a better word for it because he's not strictly an antagonist.
Yeah.
There's no hero that has to fight the big evil vampire lord in this one, like with the Observe and Report.
Yeah.
This is a vampire that is on the same side as our protagonist, and it's only when our protagonist kind of gets freaked out that it's like there's any antagonism there, and Mr. Silvio's not really even mad about it. It seems like he doesn't really like he gets it.
Yeah.
But it's again spoiler alerting everybody. We get to the end of this story, and Silvio makes a considerable effort to save David's life. Like that was he was working hard to keep that man alive.
And that's also like
which is
the first time like he reveals like his powers too is when he like is okay, well this guy's gonna die, so I'll save his life. And that was a cool ass scene, dude. Like the way everything went down.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's like I think that was a good way of speaking to the character of your monster without having to do any kind of exposition on it.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I gotta try and save this guy. And but yeah, the ending. I really like the ending of the story overall. I love that last scene where they have to bail out onto an enemy plane, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what the German dudes were thinking. Like, did that guy just?
It's like the worst luck ever.
Yeah, and then it coming around in the end, and Mr. Silvio being like, "Well, if they're not going to come over here, I guess I'll just go over there."
Yeah, yeah. I also like it ended with like the protagonist, like he has an inkling, like an intuition of like what happened, but like he doesn't know, and he's left with all these like questions. And we also see that like so he was a vampire. And like, yeah, his motives were aligned with, the Allies for a little bit, but he's still an evil monster. Like he killed Christian Woods, the first gunner, and obviously he killed a couple more people to turn into vampires. Sounds like he wiped out the squadron commander's family, and I think the squadron commander also got wiped out. They disappeared or whatever. So
yeah, they disappeared.
Definitely not a good guy.
Yeah, no, not at all. But I don't know. How can I put this? I don't think he killed them.
No,
because he's a very possessive character. This whole thing starts off. I was explaining the story to Mallory, and I was jokingly like, "Yeah, this was Count Wick." Like it was very like John Wick style. Like it's like, hey, like you blew up my car,
yeah,
and like that was enough. So I can only and then the groundskeeper, the warden of his estate, tells him, and the Nazis killed my son, and that added to the pile.
mm-hmm.
And he specifically says, "Well, then I'll avenge him too."
Yeah.
So like, there's absolutely a possessiveness to this vampire character, this Mr. Silvio. So I don't think he killed all of them. I think he probably like either turned them into vampires or took them, like did the whole Renfield, because that dude's last name was like one letter from Renfield.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that or not, but it was like Renfield with a T at the end.
Yeah, it was Renfield with a DT, ends in DT.
Yeah, and so I don't know if they're now his servants or what the deal is. I don't think he killed them. I think he just took them for whatever the next adventure is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, if you turn someone into a vampire, you're technically killing them, right? Because now they're undead and their soul's gone. I think.
Yes, true, but not 100% the same.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I have not. I've had plenty of people tell me it's really funny, and as a fantasy fan, I should check it out. But I have not made it around yet.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of TV.
I don't do it anymore now that I got kids. But yeah, it was a good one, man. It's funny, like The Office. But I was gonna say like because the vampires like they died, and like they have no soul, but like they had like they ended up like later in the show they ended up meeting their ghosts. Like they did a seance and had their ghosts show up, so they were like bullshitting with their ghosts as their vampire. It was funny, dude.
That does sound funny.
Yeah, dude. Let's see here. Yeah, there's all kinds of things in here that I was like jargon, like CH station. I don't know what that. I can't remember what it was called. It was like something.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
Yeah, these two I feel like, and part of it's because I'm much more familiar with the more like infantry side of things, just from growing up with infantry family. So I get a lot of their jargon and slang a lot easier. But this one and the next one both really kind of end up being heavier on jargon, and especially with the Hussar and the Aide to the Mage. That one really pushes the line as far as like you kind of have to be a history person. Mm-hmm. If you're really going to understand where we are, what we're doing, what's going on, you almost have to, as far as that's concerned, because they're talking about like dragoons and the river and the locations and all of these different they're called chevalier or cavaliers, and if I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are like, I got no idea what in the hell that is.
I didn't. I was like, I looked up because I've heard the word dragoon. Have you read Witchy Eye or Witchy Winter or any of those Witchy War series?
Mm-mm.
Well, there's like the Emperor's like top warrior cavalier dudes are called dragoons, and I had never looked it up. I was just like, okay, that's a weird. It sounds like dragon, and I think it's a French word for dragon. But I looked it up. It just means like it's like they're cavalrymen that usually carry like muskets and stuff because like I think the fire that comes out of the stick or whatever is meant to be like dragon fire, so it's like the French word for dragon. Basically, just means like mounted rifleman kind of thing.
Yeah, and would often ride somewhere and then get off the horse and fight.
Yeah.
Kind of the difference between that and a regular cavalryman often.
Yeah.
Not always, but often.
Yeah, dude. There was let's see, I wrote some things down just like I didn't like know what they were. So like Nissan Hut. I didn't know what the hell that was. I don't even remember what the sentence was. I just put that down. I was like, what the hell's Nissan Hut?
Hmm.
Makes
Was
me
that
want-
in?
That was in the first one.
That was the first one.
Yeah. No idea. This makes me want to go out and get some like books, like that have to do with like Dunkirk or the Battle of Britain or the Blitz. So shit, like I really need to step up my history game because I do like history and I like learning this kind of stuff.
It's the little half circle like barn huts. You see them on airfields and stuff a lot.
Oh, okay.
They're,
Now this might be embarrassing for me that I don't know what this is. So they said Huns. I'm guessing that's like slang for Nazis.
so it's
Or
slang for
Hungarians?
Germans during that time. Yeah,
Okay. Wait,
yeah, it was a very British, a British nickname for them.
Is it like are they? Okay, again, this is embarrassing. Is Germany close to Hungary? Is it like some kind of thing with that, or?
It was a parallel between the Huns invading.
Oh, okay.
So it's a more of like a history thing.
I was gonna say, the only thing I
Germany's
could think
not
of was
terribly.
Mulan.
Yeah, generally, I mean, it's not terribly far from where you're thinking, but yeah.
Well, man, I think that's all. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, kind of like a stupid British army, the Huns. Even though that wasn't ever true, that wasn't true for the Huns, and that wasn't true for the British either. That's the way, or for the Germans either. That's the kind of how the way nicknames work. Nobody ever gets a positive nickname in war.
I know, right? Yeah, dude. I liked also. I just remembered this, but I don't know. They kind of like the PTSD or the fear or the nerves that they had from Dunkirk and the Battle of Britain. I like that it wasn't just like totally relying on the monster to set all the fear and stress and anxiety and stuff.
Yeah.
Like all this other stuff. I feel like this is like the first. Maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like this is the first story that kind of made me lean more on the actual war causing a lot of the terror than just the monster. Because I feel like it wasn't until the very end that we were like, "Oh crap, this is a terrifying monster." Or at least for the character.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that I think they've all made really good use of whatever war they're set in, whatever military action is going on. I think there's a good use of the setting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you're right. This is the one I think that most embraces that the problem in and of itself, the war in and of itself, is at the forefront of the character's mind to the point that it lets the monster fly under the radar, probably longer than he should.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like that. I thought this was a good place for it. At first, I was like, "Hey, we're doing another vampire story," but this is a very different vampire story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, Chris did a really good job of not only choosing the stories that he put in the anthology, but like what order he set them in. Because like we had, really good punchy, action-packed MSR Merlin for number 1. Number 2 was still action-packed, and it had all the crazy, folklore and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
3 was Archangel, right? And so that was like
I believe so.
This weird, like disjointed psychological mind f. And then Observer Report was like, it was fast paced. It was just journal entries, so it was like bam, 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 and you get through the events pretty quickly. And I feel like this one really slowed everything down, like not in a bad way.
Yeah, change of pace.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I think that's all I got for this one. I'm really glad I read 2 stories.
Yeah, I mean, we can always, I can always find something for us to talk about. But yeah, I agree. I think we can, because we're right at that like half-hour mark. I think if we want to keep this story focused and we don't want to have a the two of us just jaw jack session. 2 stories is the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, so the second story, which is it's a 6th story overall in the anthology of Wyrd Warfare, is 7th Hussar and Aide to the Mage by Stanley Wheeler. This one's really cool. It's like Napoleon era. Well, it's not Napoleon era, it's Napoleon. So it's these. I really like that he multiple times he says like we three. It gave me like this like Three Musketeers vibe, and they're like. They're very, I guess they're like on intimate level with Napoleon. Like they like the guy right above them, the general, who's like their wizard, are kind of confidants to Napoleon. So they're like right in that inner circle. But anyway, it starts off, and I actually had to kind of reread it a couple times. I was like, wait, this guy's dead, but now he's walking up. I was like, what the fuck's going on? So I like went back and I read and see what was going on. It kind of, for me, it was like very sword and sorcery feeling. Like magic was kind of, there's only a couple people that did it, and it was like this mysterious thing and dangerous. Obviously there's a lot of like melee in like, regular martial warfare. That's like the predominant way of fighting, but then there is magic, but it's very dangerous, mysterious, unknown. Yeah, dude, I liked it. And the monsters were cool. Or what monsters we see.
Yeah. I at first, with the kind of like, I'm trying to find the right way to put this. At first, with as much, a lot gets thrown at us at once. And I was actually having a little bit of a hard time, like you said. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people needed to like kind of go back a little bit on the story, and be like, hey, wait a minute, hold on. Because you get hit with kind of everything at one time. You got the description of what these guys look like, and they're trying to like do the backstory and the dialogue. And I'll say, there's been several stories in this Anto that was like, man, I hope they write more. Observe and report. I straight up told Tyler, like, hey man, like I want to see more. Like, I like the way you do this. I want to see more of it. And Archangel's that way. It's very much like I want to know more about how this world works. This one I needed to know more, and I feel like this is a story that has like a whole nother story that is in front of it, and we're seeing more like the middle. And that's okay. It's not a terrible thing, but I could feel it in this one, and I think overall it kind of, if I had to stack these in the hierarchy, while everything else has been like 8s and 9s, this might be the first 7 of the Antho for me, if that makes sense. Like it's still a great story, absolutely worth reading, really enjoyed it. But I would have almost preferred to have the other story first. And maybe it exists somewhere. Maybe Stanley's already wrote it, or he published it in a different Antho.
Yeah.
I know I've run into that. I have multiple stories with with the same character in different Anthos because of the themes.
Yeah.
But this is the first one that, like, between everything that's being thrown at us and everything, it was like, man, like, this needed more. There needed to be more words here.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I actually made that a note of that. I was like, oh, I feel like a lot of the like the history of the world, whatever, I guess our world was like very front loaded. And like once we kind of got past, like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is the conflict we're in. This is how we got our dead general, got his powers. Then things started to kind of go. And I got way more. It was way easier to follow along once we got to that point, for me at least.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. As the story goes on and you get past all of that, I feel like the story gets more interesting. And on top of that, you get more used to, you're learning more how things work, and you're getting more used to the characters, their personalities. The one character, Joe,
dude, my favorite, hands down my favorite.
Name. Yeah, my favorite character annoyed the fire out of me at first because he does the whole maybe.
Yeah,
like the stereotypical.
Dude, my favorite line is he's like, my sword has no effect. What did he say? I do not appreciate it. I do not accept this or something.
Yeah. It's just something like, I don't appreciate this. Yeah. it was quite funny.
Oh my god, I could have sworn I put it down. He was like, I do not accept this or something like that. I do not appreciate this. Oh, and He's and I do not approve of this. Yeah, that's what he says. I do not approve of this.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't approve of this.
Like, dude, that's freaking great, dude. I'm not familiar at all with this conflict between Napoleon and the Russians. I know Napoleon as the weird little French guy that puts his hand in his pocket, and that's about it. So I don't know anything about Napoleon's conquests.
Yeah, which is interesting because I feel like the story relies on you knowing Napoleon. So we get these really heavy physical descriptions of all these characters, and then it's like, and then there was Napoleon, and Napoleon starts talking, and like that's like we don't know. Wait, like I know everybody else's eye color. I know everybody else the color of the armor that they're wearing. I know like everybody else's like total layout.
Yeah,
and it's like, and then Napoleon. It's like, well, I guess I'm gonna go with what my picture of Napoleon is, which is funny because Napoleon's been in so many movies and TV shows, and like I'm sure there's somebody who hears Napoleon and like pictures Joaquin Phoenix in their head.
Yeah,
because he played Napoleon one time versus the actual painting we have of what Napoleon really looked like. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I found that interesting too, which is both adds to the charm and makes the story a little bit more difficult. Just like with all the French, the French thing, like
I didn't waste any time trying to translate that. I was like, yeah, I'm sure they're saying some stuff that has to do with battle.
Yeah, but it steeps you into the time period, but at the same time, if you don't speak French, you have no idea what the hell everybody's yelling about.
Yeah. Chris Denote in the chat says, I had an unfair advantage, master's in military history. And he also said, if this helps, it's the Battle of Borodino. Think, oh, bro, I can't read this. Think Tchaikovsky, 1812 Overture.
Yeah. Okay. That helps. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, the premise of the Seven Hussar, basically, it sounds like Napoleon's forces were in Egypt. There's Napoleon. There's these three, I guess they're like cavaliers. Yeah, they're dragoons. Although they always refer to the dude's name starts with B. They always refer to him as a dragoon. So I don't know if they're all three of them are dragoons or just that one guy is, and they all just have to be like cavaliers. And then and then there's their general who they're like, oh, he died, but he's with them, and he's like a wizard now. So apparently they sacrificed him, or they did something to him in Egypt in this chamber, and it basically gave him like magic powers. Went from being just a general to like a mage. I don't really know the ins and outs of how that worked, but did I miss it? Did you pick it up?
Well, so I don't know if it was I don't know if he actually physically died. That wasn't the way I understood it. I kind of because death is in quotes. I think that they killed the general. The
persona.
I think that they killed his persona. They faked his death, and he became he became like this mage general, right? Yeah. So he's still a general, but he's got a different name, and he's the mage now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because he does use that different name when he's like trying to command people. He says, "I'm general," and he uses a completely different name.
Yeah, Le General du Sablé, or I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce French half the time. Yeah, Sable, however we want to pronounce that. I'm sure there's some extra syllable in there. It's French. But yeah, so and I don't know 100% what happened in Egypt. If Napoleon's it says followed as Napoleon pursued the evil released from a secret Egyptian chamber. So somehow this evil comes out of Egypt, and I don't know if Napoleon was there or if it was just the guys that were there, just these chevaliers that were there.
Yeah.
But one way or another, it ends up being this like magic conspiracy of ancient Egyptian magic, and now they're hunting Azam. I want to say is how that would be pronounced. They're hunting this one really powerful person who was involved in this whole magic debacle in Egypt.
Yeah,
and they're trying to hunt him down to the point that that's really the real purpose, it seems like, of Napoleon going deeper into Russia.
Yeah. Yeah, and the evil wizard has allied with the Russians, and the Battle of Borodino. I guess they're at this, like the Russians have their fortifications, the French are their battle's going on, but the wizard dude and his three musketeers don't want to engage until they know what's going on with the evil wizard with the Sam. And basically, and I don't know about you, I kind of like saw it coming because he kept describing like the piles of dead bodies. Like, oh, the plan is the bad wizard's gonna let the battle go on until there's so many dead bodies, and he's gonna create an army of the dead, and that's what ended up happening.
Classic necromancer tactics. Yeah,
yeah.
I figured something like that was gonna go down, especially when things like started glowing weirdly, and then I was like, okay, yeah, we're getting ready for whatever nonsense is afoot to be afoot. But I like the way it was used. I still like that it was, because I mean it makes perfect sense. I write a necromancer character. Leo is from my urban fantasy series. He's my main character. He's a necromancer Green Beret, and so I use a very similar tactic at one point because that's how you use necromancy.
Yeah. Oh, we lost Jesse. Come on, man. I swear. Oh, there he is.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. I don't know.
Hey!
The internet gods are not happy with us, I guess.
Yeah, they're fickle.
Yeah. I forgot what the last thing you said was where you cut out on me.
I like the way the necromancy was used.
Yeah.
I write a necromancer character. That was a good use of it, in my personal opinion, with my own little foray into the studies of the dark arts.
Yeah, man. I think like despite like kind of having to trip over myself a little bit at the beginning there and kind of start over again, and maybe like some mysteries around exactly how all this came to be. I don't really have a big issue with that. I really liked I loved the three musketeer dudes, like their whole banter back and forth, how they operated, their like sense of honor, and like I'm not gonna I can't run. That's like I'll be dishonored. That's terrible. So I think he like even though like obviously it's a common necromantic tactic, which I don't have a problem with. Like in like I think the characters and like the story and quite frankly the way like the logistics of the magic, like the mage could tell that the bad guy had to be somewhere near because of like the proximity of the magic and how it works. And he's like, if he was super strong, if he was crazy powerful, maybe he could be somewhere else. But like, I can tell that he's close because like you could look back and there were some dead bodies further away that weren't reanimated.
Yeah.
So I like that. And then they finally get up and they see the dead guys with their like hearts ripped out, and like, oh, that's how he conjured all the zombies in the proximity. But these ones are like different. They're harder to kill. They're slow, but they're like super strong. So yeah, I felt like even though like maybe there were some common tropes, there was also some pretty cool like originality and good character work.
Yeah, I agree. And I like the I like that we get to see a way that regular men can fight the unnatural. The usage of tactics and advantages and a quick wit allows somebody who is really outmatched in this instance. Like, hey, I can stab this guy all day, but he's got 10 other friends and he's not dying when I stab him.
Yeah.
Which is a really unique problem. That is not normally. It's normally when I run my sword through this guy, he does not just ignore me.
Right.
And not to go off on a tangent, but from my martial experience, dealing with someone who's on something to the point where they don't have pain compliance anymore,
yeah,
that's a terrifying moment. And I think this captures that well. There's this, it's a very scary moment when you do something to somebody that should stop them. Mm-hmm. That should be the end of this argument. And they just ignore it. And that's a whole nother, oh no, because then you're put in a really awkward spot of now, how do I handle this? And that it's exactly what happens in the story. And it's cool. It's cool to see the characters have to think on their feet.
Yeah. I also like that. They weren't like regular zombies, like legit, Bordeaux or whatever the hell his name is. The guy I'm just gonna say the B dude. I'm just calling him B. B goes up and like basically, I think he like first strike on the first undead he sees, he like cleaves the head like in half, and it just keeps
Yeah.
going. So like it's not like a regular zombie where you just destroy the brain. And I love the barrel and like the mage like basically blessing it with a scroll and like ripping it up, and the little ritual was really cool. And then dunking it and like the weapon, yeah, sure. Now your weapon can go and kill these things, but like it wears off, and so you have to like stay close to the water source to keep like re-blessing your weapon over and over again. I love those little things when it comes to like I guess logistics is the word I'm looking for, where like how the magic works, or how the action has to work. I guess the drawbacks to like weapons, like Servants of War, like how inside the golems get really hot. I feel like I always bring that book up every time we talk, but yeah, like how inside these unstoppable golems.
It's a good book.
It's a great book, and it's like one of my favorite drawbacks for like a super powerful weapon. Is like it's literally unstoppable, but if you like the more damage it absorbs, the hotter inside it gets. So like you literally cook alive piloting this unstoppable machine. So it's such a cool drawback. And I think the holy water or whatever it turned into wearing off was cool.
Yeah, for sure. That continues to be a theme in this antho as well. That the usage of the folklore, the usage of magic, the pros and cons, the system is what I would call it. The way the magical system works. Each one has been very unique and had its own cool kind of grounding from, these stories are grounded in history, they're grounded in folklore, they're grounded in occult tradition, and it's cool to read all the different ways that the authors utilize that.
Yeah, I really liked. I mean, I know like using components and stuff for spell work isn't new or anything, but I liked his little emerald that he would like put on the map for scrying, or he would like look through it, to like basically detect magic or whatever he was doing with it. And then like he slips the ruby to our main character. I wrote all their names down, but it's the protagonist. And then like he pulls the ruby out, and I think he thinks back to was it Pauline? And if that's a real historical figure that somehow knows Napoleon, it could be. I have no idea, because Napoleon talks about how they went to somewhere to go rescue Pauline or something like that. So I don't know who she is, but apparently she is also a mage, because the dude thought about her or whatever when he had the ruby, when he was surrounded by all those dudes, the zombies, and he had nowhere to go. He's like, okay, what if you were on fire? And boom, they catch on fire. Yeah, and then like the room when they're riding, and he kind of describes like the dude's cloak and like the runes. I don't know, man. I really like the visuals on this story. I really like the magic, and the action was super fun. And I love the three. The three guys are my favorite, especially Beep. He's my favorite character. He's hilarious with his little maybes. He's like, maybe if you don't do this, I'll shoot your brains out. Maybe like, yeah, love it.
Maybe.
And I love at the end, like the rest of them say maybe, like they kind of like, I don't know, make fun of him or whatever, give him a hard time.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's and that it irritated me at first, but as his personality came out more across the story, he rapidly became my favorite character. Because when everybody else was kind of just like, oh, how do we deal with this? Or like, hey, like I'm trying to be diplomatic or anything. He's just like, we ain't got time for this. Look, man, drive the car to get your head blown off. Pick one.
Yeah.
like
they're surrounded by the like the super zombies, and he's like, we can't kill him. And then like the shots ring out. I'm like, oh, those are regular people. Oh, well, I can kill them, so let's go fight those guys.
I can kill them. I can't fix that problem, but I can fix that problem. I don't know if you've ever watched the 7 Deadly Sins on Netflix.
The anime? Yeah. Dude, I think I have not. I think I started it and I didn't get a chance to finish it. Like first episode, basically.
There's a very minor part in it where one of the characters, Bond's very much like Boju or Bojo or however you pronounce his name. But he loses his jacket at one point, and they're in this like battle royale where all these guys are all fighting on the stage. We've all agreed to have this fight until there's only like one person standing.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks over and he sees that there's a dude wearing basically his exact same jacket. And he looks over at the guy, and you don't see what happens, but all you do is you see Bond see him, and then just start laughing. And you already know what's about to happen. Like he's about to mug this guy in the middle of this contest for his jacket. and he comes back on screen later wearing the jacket, and that's is very much like it reminded me. The characters remind me of each other. It was very much like it. I can imagine him looking over and seeing like real people that he can kill, and just being like, just like I can't fix this problem. I can fix that problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's like gratifying, right? You're like, there's this frustration of like, I can't kill these stupid fucking things. You're like, you finally see something you can kill. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go. Here's something I can't deal with. Like, I can't handle it, but I can handle that. So like, let's just go. I'll take my aggression out over there, and it's kind of satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of jacket, when the main character takes the jacket from the wagon driver, he's like, I don't know. He's like, well, yeah, well, glory doesn't keep me warm in the winter or something like that. And then he's like, yeah, glory will not keep me warm at night. And he's like, then you don't know how to wear it. And I was like, ooh, that's a cold ass line, dude.
Yep.
I like that.
No, that was definitely a good line.
Yeah, that was really. I had to write that down. I was like, damn, that was good, dude. Chris Denut says, if you want something that gives you the historical flavor of 7th Hussar, look up Sharp's Rifles. Is that a book or a movie? We'll see if he responds. Well, I guess we can look it up. Do a quick Google. Sharp's Rifles. It's an episode? Dude, is that what's his name? Sean Bean?
Yeah, that's what I'm finding.
1993. Well, I might have to look this up. I've never heard of that. All right. Oh, TV series, yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the action and the magic system in the story. Like I said, even though it was a little threw me off a little bit in the beginning, I really like the sword and sorcery vibes. Like, I mean, it kind of opens up like that, right? It's like, oh, don't dabble with magic. It's Satan's toy or whatever.
Yeah.
And even at the end, when the main character ends up casting the fire spell, he's like, okay, well, I guess it's not. I think it was B that said it in the beginning, and he ends up saying it again later on. He's like, I guess it's not that bad since you ended up killing all those zombies with it.
Yeah. Oh, this one time. Yeah.
How did you feel about the ending when the bad guy just kind of goes down his gopher hole?
So that's what that was kind of the point I was trying to make earlier. Is like this is a story that needs a prequel and a sequel. Like, it is not. There isn't a like, man, I'd like to see more. But this is a story that, at least in my opinion, this is a story in the middle of two other stories.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like Chris said, it reminds you of like a TV show. This is like episode 2.
Yeah.
But we didn't watch episode 1 or episode 3.
Yeah.
Which is okay, because sometimes you watch stuff out of order and you can still understand what's going on. I got hit with that. Literally, that happened to me with one of my favorite characters that I write, Rune Red Eagle. I sold story 1, then I sold story 2, and the publisher for story 2 managed to get the book out faster. So story 2 got published before anybody ever got to read story 1.
Yeah.
So, like, it happens. Like I said, maybe this is in another info from somewhere because the theme didn't fit, or it's, whatever. Or maybe this is just the one section that really stuck out to him and he could write the best first and the deadline came up. There's a 1,000 reasons this happens, but this needs to have episode 1 and 3. Like, we got to know, because we know Napoleon eventually loses in Russia.
I didn't know that, but yeah.
So, well,
history knows that.
The history shows that eventually Napoleon's going to lose, and does somehow the hidden goal, the hidden world goal of killing Azam ruin Napoleon's campaign on the large scale? You know what I mean? Like, is that why he does what he does? In real life, in our history that we know, like it's really cool. I would have liked to have read episode 1 first.
Yeah. Or I think he brought this point up, like maybe he doesn't even really care about Russia. He just wants to kill Azam. That's the whole reason he's there. So maybe he does. Yeah. Maybe in this story, in this world, he does succeed in killing Azam, and then maybe he just in order to do that, he sacrificed his campaign or his army, gave everything just to get that one goal. And in so doing, the Russians, killed him for it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Really cool. I liked it. So the both of these pictures are really cool, but I gotta say the Blitz artwork, which I'm assuming that Cedar just did the whole book, Cedar Sanderson. Maybe Chris can tell us. Oh, Chris said 1993, ancient, right? Yeah, that's pretty old, dude. I was 5 years old in 1993. I definitely don't remember that coming across my dad's TV in the living room. Watched a lot of wrestling, and Home Improvement would be on, but it didn't watch Sharp's Rifles.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was 3, so
okay, so we're pretty close in age.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember UFC. I remember that first UFC. I remember football and wrestling.
Pre Dana UFC.
Yeah, pre Dana UFC.
I remember Tank Abbott. Let's see, Shamrock. Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, both of them, Ken and Frank.
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Boss Rutan.
Yeah, I kind of want to see if I can turn one of these pictures into a poster or the cover. I just like all the art in this whole thing is so good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any of these would make a killer poster. If Rack Press ever decides to start doing merch, like serious merch, which maybe they have, I don't know, but these would all make killer posters. The Blitz one, the one from Observe and Report, I'd rock that on my wall.
That's a really good one.
That gear sets, that's like the OEF special gear set, man. That's like, I got pictures of my brother carrying that in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? Like it's cool.
Yeah, that one or the Blitz. The second one from Till the Sun Shines, that one's a little confusing. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And the first one was cool, but I definitely like the Blitz and Observe and Report. Or
and the Hussar one's not half bad either. Though I got I guess it's black and white, so that doesn't help. But it gave me like a little bit earlier vibes, like almost like a Puritan, like an Inquisitor kind of vibe. It's very Solomon Kane because of the hat shape.
See, I was thinking of the Mummy, like with Brendan Fraser when they're in what the hell's the name of the city of the dead? Hamunaptra, in the very beginning when it's him in the French Foreign Legion. That's the vibe I was getting from it.
Gotcha. Okay, I can see that.
But yeah, dude. If they ever do merch, I'd probably skip up a poster. There's also, do you read any Wargate stuff? Like, I think you said you read Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I'm not done with Galaxy's Edge. I need to come back, but I think I'm 100% caught up on Forgotten Ruin.
Mm-hmm. I haven't started that.
I've read all the Forgotten Ruin, Sergeant Thor, and I'm like 6 books into the main Galaxy's Edge, and I'm 2 books into the Savage Wars.
Okay, I haven't started Savage Wars. I did, 6 books. Yeah, so we're pretty much the same spot on the main line. I did the Tin Man short story, which is a super fast read. And then I did a standalone, which was, because there's a bunch of Order of Centurion books. I don't know if they're all standalones or not, but I did the Lost Legion that Blaine Pardoe wrote. Yeah. Dude, that was a really good one. I don't know if you've read that, but that book kicked friggin' butt, dude. It's like the first. It focuses on the mechs. Was it the HPKs?
Mm-hmm.
Chris Denote says, "I like the poster, Eddie. I'll pass that on." Yeah, dude, for sure. I would definitely put some of that up in my room or my garage. I guess that's my room. My garage. It's my man cave. But anyway, yeah. Wargate has some really cool posters. I think it's just Galaxy's Edge. In fact, they actually had the Lost Legion cover was one of them, and then there's like 3 other ones. I can't remember what they are.
Yeah, I've got the digital copy. I don't remember what I got it from. I think when I ordered a shirt or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the KTF pinup one, where it's like the Legionnaire and he's got the girl with him, and it's the kill them first.
That's a shirt? I don't know. I've seen that one. So
it's not a shirt. So I ordered just a KTF.
Oh, okay.
and then, but when I got the shirt, they sent me like a digital file for one of the posters they had done,
Oh, okay.
and it's like a Legion poster, but it's like a Legionnaire with like a pinup girl, and it has like the kill them first kind of deal.
I love the kit. I just really like Galaxy's Edge. Sometimes some of the parts that get a little bit I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit too much like modern day politics kind of on it, where I can tell like, okay, we're kind of venting a bit, which I honestly I don't know if I've seen a lot of books, maybe just because I went to school and they don't let me read those kind of books, but they kind of like poke fun at like left wing governments, and I think it works, dude. And I think the way they use that I don't know, the ideology or whatever to kind of explain why the Galaxy is such a S show, especially in I think it's Kill Team, when like you get the donkey people who are basically an allegory for Muslim terrorists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Kill Team was a good one, man. I really like that. So you just read Sword of the Legion then?
Yeah, so I think I'm on Sword of Legion. I haven't read it yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think I'm probably one book behind you there, because I really got hooked on Forgotten Ruin. It's absolutely 100% my speed. And so I really got hooked on that one, and I haven't jumped back over to Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
Which I need to do, but you start making author friends, and you feel like you got to read everybody's book.
Right.
And so the to be read pile is like, if it was physical, it would be through the roof. Like, thank God I do ebooks, because I couldn't fill a house with everything I have to read.
Yeah. I know. Every time I started having people on my on my channel for like author streams, I was like, man, I got to read these people's stuff now. I've read a couple of things, but yeah. I kind of gave up on that. I was like, I'm just kind of I prefer to like read someone's stuff like going forward before I have them on, because then I feel like I have more to like ask questions of them. Because when I have people on, like it's harder for me as like the person like asking questions, because I literally don't know anything about what they've written. So like the first guy I had on was Blaine Pardoe, and of course I'm a huge Landon C fan, so like I had a ton of stuff to ask him. But it's a lot harder when you've never read the author's work.
Yeah, for sure. That's I think that's the biggest challenge, both as a any kind of like host or writer or whatever. Reading tends to come at the end. And that makes it difficult even for like as a author trying to sell anything, is like you have to win people over and then they read your stuff.
Yeah.
So and that's the same thing with anything going on, as far as like, if you're going to do any kind of book talk or anything like that, like you got to read. That's
yeah. I guess I don't really have anything else on. I guess that's why I kind of started going down our side tangents here. But I don't really have anything else to add on the 7th Hussar and Aide to the Mage. I think we kind of hit everything that I had to talk about. I did have one question, I guess, left for that. They talk about we're standing before the spires of Moscow, and then he's like, but we both know that we're 50 miles away from Moscow. I never really I kept that in the back of my mind as I was reading, and I didn't really feel like I came to a point in the story where that really felt like it was explained to me. Did that make sense to you? Like why that was in there?
I think some of this, especially the banter between them, when you're writing, you're looking to do certain things, right? You're looking to introduce your characters, you're trying to gain attachment. And sometimes there's things that you throw in that are like a really great character moment, or it shows somebody's personality.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, there's not a lot to do here. There's not a lot that's going on here. And it also very well may be just trying to set where we are. Like, hey, time out. We're not that close to Moscow. We're 50 miles out.
Yeah.
Because battles do this weird thing in history where people will be like, yeah, it's the Battle of Vicksburg. And it's like, dude, that battle was in the woods, 35 miles from Vicksburg. Vicksburg's just the closest place you can name. Like, it's like I'm from a place called Stone Mountain, and Stone Mountain is this big, huge granite mountain in Georgia. But most people, unless they're there to tourist or whatever, they've never heard of Stone Mountain. But Stone Mountain's really close to metropolitan Atlanta. So it's like people are like, "Hey, where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from Atlanta."
Yeah.
Like it's just easier. Like you just explain it that way. So I think it could have been that. It could have been just trying to set like where we actually were, or making fun of that. There's a hundred different reasons you could put it in.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Because like when I was in the Navy and you meet people that are from all over the country. They'd be like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm from Portland." And then if like I meet somebody that was actually from Portland or the surrounding area, they're like, "Oh, I'm actually from Beaverton or Hillsboro," because like most people,
Yeah.
like you just go with the biggest city that somebody might be aware of. Now I'll just be like, I'm from Oregon because I don't want people to know that I live so close to Portland.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, that's really all I had for that the story.
Cool. Two more next week.
Yeah, dude. What were we talking about right before I switched back? I don't remember. Yeah, dude. I'm excited. I didn't look ahead to see what they were, but how many more are there in the whole thing? Let me pull up my Kindle real quick.
Let's find out.
See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So odd number. That's all right.
Yeah. I actually talked to Spearman Burke on a fairly regular basis. Do you want me to hit him up when we do that one?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I
See
would
if
be
he
down
wants
to
to
have the
jump
authors
in.
on every time, but it's not
So
sometimes I
just
just
gotta
get
find
busy
him.
with my kids. Yeah. I do have. I think
Yeah.
me and Joe follow each other now. The author of Night Fighters.
Nice.
And then yeah, like Tyler, I had him on just like on as a for an author interview, so I was able to get a hold of him easy. And Chris, hops in the chat, so I was able to track him down. But yeah, dude, I'm
Yeah.
having a hard time tracking all these things down. I was thinking maybe when we're done with all the stories, maybe we have just like one more stream where we have see if we can get like Chris and as many authors as I can get a hold of come on and just have a BS sesh.
Yeah. A little free for all. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Maybe like ask people like where they come up with the ideas and whatnot. But yeah, dude. Yeah, I think Tyler said he's down to come back on, which is cool because I like talking to him.
Just have to catch him when he's not on duty.
Yeah, right. I know, man.
Yeah.
Like I always thought, like before I got in the military, that like National Guard was just like you should stay at home, and then like you realize like no, dude, the National Guard. I mean, maybe other civilians. I as a civilian, I just didn't know, but they deploy a lot, which I didn't realize because hear National Guard, you think guard the nation, stay in the in CONUS, but yeah, dude, they are constantly going around deploying, and it's a if that's what you signed up for, cool. But if you weren't aware that was the gig, yeah, you might end up going on deployments more than you thought you would.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's. Ooh, it's especially like the older I get, the older my family gets, man. Those deployments, I feel like they cost more. You know what I mean? Like you start having kids, and you're getting older, and the I guess the mortality, the sic transit gloria mundi, the glory of man is fleeting, and it really feels like those hit, and they cost you more. Now it's not just it's not 2 years out of your life or a year out of your life. It's a year out of your son's life too, a year out of your daughter's life too, and
Yeah.
I can't imagine, man. It was I never did it, but it seemed like it went by faster then, and now that's
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
2 years is a long time in and of itself.
Yeah, it is, and that's why we had our daughter. I think she was born. I think I had a month left in the Navy, and like we, kind of worked out. But there's
Yeah.
and like fortunately, like in my community, like our deployments are pretty short. Like we would go on like month long because we had 3 aircraft, so we weren't like flying to a boat. We were like logistics, so we would literally fly crews back and forth to relieve people and stuff. So we didn't have like a huge command that really needed to have a presence in whatever theater we were in. We would just rotate out. So like I'd go like on a month-long vacation basically to Japan or Italy or Bahrain, and then from there
Yeah.
fly missions in that theater and see more places. So for me, it's not that bad. It'd be like a month at most, even if I did have a family. I mean, I had my wife, but we didn't have any kids. But yeah, dude, those like some rates just like, especially the Navy, like the sub guys do long ones. Some of those ship deployments are insane. I'm sure like the Army, I don't know how long their Army Marines, like how long they go out for, but I'm sure it's a super long time, 6 months minimum, I would think.
Yeah, if I I remember it was 6 months. I don't know if the Marines have changed that. It was 6 months, and I think the Army's a year. Like
Yeah.
that's and I think National Guard, because they're their Army, but in a way is a year as well. Um,
That's brutal.
a whole year away from everybody is brutal.
Yeah, especially like, so like again, I was kind of pampered. I'd always stay in hotels and stuff. One time I flew to Djibouti, and we had to spend the night there, and we slept in a Connex box. I didn't change out of my flight suit. Cause I don't want to take malaria pills because they like tear up your stomach, dude. So I just got my flight suit on, and I like put my gloves on, and I strapped everything up, and I sprayed myself in DEET because I didn't want to take malaria pills, but I didn't want to get bit by a mosquito. I was like, dude, if I was like stationed here, oh my gosh, dude, I was such a baby, dude. Like I had like the most pampered brochure job in the military you could possibly get. Maybe like cook for an admiral or something. That's probably a better, an easier job.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you read Land and Sea? I think that's what we're talking about. Wargate. That's what.
No, I haven't. I haven't. I've done Galaxy's Edge, and I've done a little bit of Dark Operator and Forgotten Ruin, and I read the first what was Doc Spears' series, Warlord. But I haven't done Mongol Moon. I haven't done Land and Sea, and I've only done the first. What's the Aztec one?
Doomsday Recon.
Doomsday Recon. I've done Doomsday Recon 1. I haven't done Recon 2 yet.
Yeah, Land and Sea is like is my shit, dude. That's my favorite. I think it's my favorite series going right now. But
Okay.
I'm a big. I just read Orders. I've only read his novella Orders of Magnitude, but yeah, Yuval Kordov, dude. He's got the I think Dark Legacies trilogy. I definitely want to pick that up.
Yeah.
And I think he also has a novella set in that universe, which I love that he does that because it's such a cool way to just hop into, get a taste of his world without having to commit yourself to 3 novels or whatever. If you want to just kind of jump in, jump out. Yeah, dude, I'm quickly becoming a huge fan of shorter fiction. Like even like big book. I just won't. I don't like reading big books. I don't have the time. I think that my ADHD gets the better of me. I'm just like, I don't want to sit here on one story when I could have read like 2 books in the time it took me to read this one book. So like Forgotten Ruin size books, Land and Sea size books. A lot of the Wargate stuff I feel is kind of similar size. There might be some. I think is Doomsday Recon kind of a bigger one?
Kindle, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
hard
really
to
pay any
tell.
attention to it. I don't think it was terribly long. Every once in a while, I'll notice I got what was it? Game of Castles, man. So it's a series, and I started reading the first one, and it was really good. So I didn't realize it at first. But I was like, man, I feel like I've been reading this. Like I've read this book almost every day. Like I put a couple hours a day into this book, and I'm only like halfway through this book.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was like a 300,000 word novel.
Yeah, it's too big for me, dude.
I mean, it was absolutely worth it. Great book. And I got the second one, and the second one's just as long. It's huge. Like um, but yeah, those door stoppers, man, they sneak up on you sometimes if you're doing ebooks, especially because I don't have the physical like,
Yeah.
oh hey, I could hurt somebody with this. Like this is a makeshift weapon. Like
Yeah. Yeah, I usually like I'll read like half and then I'll put it down and I'll go read like 2 more books and then I'll come back to that big book and finish it off. Like I did that with Witchy
gotcha.
Winter, which is book 2 in the Witchy War series, because I was like, this is fucking huge, dude. I don't know, it's like 600-700 pages. I don't know how many words it was, but I was like, this is taking too long. So yeah, I put it down. I don't put it down because it's bad. I just like I can't sit in one story this long. I got to go knock out some more thing. Especially because like I try to do my booktube and I like to put reviews out. So like I feel like if I taking too long on one book, it gives me anxiety. which is
I
pathetic.
I get it.
Yeah, dude. Land and Sea, that's my shit. I just I think I told you I already finished Alpha, and I've been kind of like using my Audible credits to get into some back into Warhammer. So like I'd read the first 4 of the Horus Heresy, nice. And I'm trying to go Grey Knights. Like when I eventually find myself able to afford any Warhammer miniatures because they're so expensive. But yeah, I want to get some Grey Knights, I think. So I went with the 5th book I read or listened to was Garo, Weapon of Fate, which I think is just like a collection of short stories that they kind of like edited a bit so they transitioned well. Really cool. I love Nathaniel Garrow is like my favorite Warhammer character so far. And right now I'm reading The Buried Dagger. But yeah, next month I think, now that I know that the sweet ass Colonel from Avatar narrated the Savage War stuff, I'm gonna go scoop those up.
Yeah, Stephen Lang.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm just assuming the fact that he is narrating Wargate books that he's based, because you know, I feel like if he wasn't, he probably wouldn't be working with Wargate because Wargate's based.
I have no idea. I've never really looked into it. But he does a really good job with that first. I did the audio for the first Savage Wars novel, and he does a really good job with the narration. He absolutely captures the feel of the characters.
Yeah.
So
nice, dude. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do in July. I'll pick up the first Savage Wars book. Have you read? I don't think you said you did. I want to check out the Tyrus Rex books, but I don't know if I need to like read to a certain point, because they're probably prequels too. Because obviously, spoilers for anyone who hasn't read any Galaxy's Edge, but he dies in the second book.
Yeah, if you've read that one, you're good.
Yeah.
I did the first. Was it Contracts and something? Is the series? It's like
for Rex.
Yeah, it's like Targets and Contracts or something like that.
Dude, I gotta say, those books have the sickest covers. I think
oh yeah,
like the best. Like I like all Galaxy's Edge covers, but the Tyrus Rex books are something else.
Yeah, his armor's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did the first one. It was good. It was there's more. Again, there's so much Galaxy's Edge. And when I got into it, it was already big. Like there was already, there was already like 7-8 books in the main series, and then on top of that, we had all these side, series coming out and everything like that. So,
dude, I just got into it this year, so like I think there's already like 20 or 30 books, maybe more. I don't know. Definitely over 20.
Yeah,
I can tell you
deep. It's deep. The book series goes super deep at this point. I got to wrap around. Technically, my publisher, J.R. Hanley, wrote. He was at one point was a reservist, so he wrote a reservist novel for them. So there's a reserve Legionnaire novel that he wrote. Like they're filling all the spots.
Is it Legionnaire, not Republic Army?
Yeah, no, he's like Legion Reserve.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah. So that's I got to get around to that one, to JR's novel in the world, and there's, man.
Yeah, Wargate's got quite a stable, man. I really want to try and just get through everything that they have out. I feel like I haven't really noticed anything that doesn't seem like it's not like up my alley. Like Doomsday Recon looks cool. What was it? Like Forgotten Ruin looks cool. And dude, like Nick Cole and Jason Anspank, those guys are just pumping books out. It's kind of crazy. And same with Blaine. Yeah, dude. Well, maybe we should start wrapping up, because I don't think I got much else to talk about. My wife probably needs some help getting them kiddos to bed.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on as always.
Yeah, man. I really like having you on here. I guess we probably talk off screen, but I don't know if you wanted to you want to keep coming on, or you want to just finish out this book, because I've had like a hard time trying to get people like on as a permanent spot. So I kind of just like let people come in like whenever they have availability.
I'm game, man. This is this is something that's I'm trying to build into a career. So every little bit of camera time, every little bit of interacting in this space is always cool by me. Eventually, the day job's supposed to go away, and this is supposed to be what I do. So if you want to plan it out and you want to pick up another antho or you want to pick up a book or whatever we want to do, man, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'll probably send you a message. We can either maybe you want to have a book in mind that you want to check out, but you haven't had time to read. You want to just read on the side for this. I'll be down for that. It doesn't always have to be my pick. If you want to keep coming on, I'd be super open to any suggestions.
Yeah, I'll message you. We'll figure it out.
All right, man. Well, I'll see you next Monday.
All right. See you then.
See ya. Bye, chat.